Hey, this is JT, and welcome to another episode of The Critical Thought. Today is life at Bethel, the good, the bad, and yes, you guessed it, the ugly. Just to get the housekeeping out of the way, we invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and be sure to hit the like button so that more people can get a chance to see this information. You know, when I was growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, every year you see that little announcement that shows up in the publication, in the Watchtower. It's called the announcement for the annual meeting. And I don't know about you, but I think I was probably like the vast majority of the other 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses. We saw that little announcement that popped up and it went right over our head. We didn't stop to think about what it meant, what it represented, or what activities would be going on. We saw the voting members of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society will be meeting on this Saturday at 9:15 for the annual meeting. And so it wasn't until I actually got to Bethel did I really come to understand what the annual meeting was. You see, the annual meeting is the who's who of Jehovah's Witnesses because it represents all of the major players from all over the world. Yes, we're talking about the people who make and enforce the rules that impact your life as well as mine. You see, the annual meeting consists of the voting members, and these voting members are handpicked by the governing body. It's kind of interesting if you look at the history of how the annual meeting started out. At one time, you could actually become a voting member by paying $10. The Centennial Brochure of 1984 on page 28 states, when the Watchtower Society was incorporated, voting membership was open to anyone who had contributed at least $10 to the funds of the society. Yes, $10 bought you basically one share of Watchtower stock, as it were. You became a voting member, which then would allow you to vote each year on who the president, vice president, and the different officers and directors of this organization would be. Well, it wasn't long for the Watchtower to realize this is not a good plan. So what they decided to do is they put what you could probably call as a poison pill. You see, what they did, they stopped that. And they went to the process of saying, we will give these voting rights, these voting members will be hand selected based on their loyalty to the organization. That's right. These individuals, they got the ability to become voting members because they have demonstrated a track record of we don't question nothing that the organization says. And that's why it consists of people from other branches, people who are in the missionary work. At one time, the district overseers, but as we all know, they got fired. And then, of course, you have the circuit overseers. Last but not least are those that we refer to as local heavies. These are the individuals who are like the city overseers or those who serve in local congregations all around the world. But there's one thing they all have in common. They have a track record that says we will do whatever we are told. You know, sometimes I often talk to former Jehovah's Witnesses and the conversation might come up, JT, you think the voting members will ever take the organization from the governing body? Well, that probably could have happened years ago, but not very likely today. And here's the reason why. One of the bylaws that was written years ago was one of the requirements. One of the requirements in order to be a voting member is it must be, one, of course, it must be a male. And of course, the person has to be an elder. So you have people who are Bethel elders, circuit overseers, district overseers, local elders in the congregations around the world. Their ability to remain as an elder rests entirely in the hands of the governing body. And of course, that was the reason the governing body had no problem back in the year 2000 stepping off the stage and turning it over to just regular guys to run the organization. Because at the end of the day, if you are an elder and you try to set up a little coup where you're going to try to overthrow something, they'll just have the service department delete you. And next week, they'll have another brother who has a track record of being loyal, sitting in your spot. So that is one of the reasons why the likelihood of them losing the organization is very, very unlikely. If you're not an elder, you can't be a voting member. And since they control that, they won't lose that. I remember my first year at Bethel leading up to the annual meeting. It is one of the most exciting times at Bethel. And the reason why is because all during that week, these individuals are flying in from all around the world. So every time you come down to breakfast, you come down to dinner, you come to lunch, you see all these people coming in. In fact, many times they'll be asking the single brothers if they could give up their seats at the table because, we got a brother coming in from Nigeria, a brother coming in from Japan. Him and his wife are going to be sitting at our table for the rest of the week. And so if you're a single brother, you give your seat up and you'll run around and try to find one of the empty seats loaded in the dining room. And so one of the things that happens is that they are there for the entire week. And so you get a chance to meet these voting members. And one of the things that you definitely want to do is you want to snag one to be able to take to your kingdom hall because they're going to be going to the meetings while they're there. It's a matter of where they're going. And so I was in charge of coordinating public speakers in my congregation. And as a result, I was able on many occasions to get these individuals come out to the hall. I remember one brother, the first time I did this, it was a couple from Nigeria, and we talked all week. And I said, we'd love to have you come out up in Harlem to give a talk to the congregation. Would you like to come out? And he said, well, let me get back with you, Brother JT. I said, okay. So the next day, while I was waiting, I called up the presiding overseers. They were called back in the day. And I said, look, we may have an opening for a speaker. Can we create an opening at the Kingdom Hall? He said, JT, don't worry about it. Whoever the speaker is on Sunday, I'll bump him and we'll put that brother right in. And sure enough, that's what we were able to do. This particular brother, if I had to describe him, he would remind you of someone like a Johnny Cochran. That's exactly what he would remind you of. So my experience in meeting members of the corporation was positive. But little did I know, oh boy, in a few years later, it would be a whole different story. When I was at Bethel, it was when the organization was experiencing some of its most explosive growth, especially in the area of construction. And so it was very difficult for brothers who wanted to get married to bring their wives in. Some of you may remember, it was a time when brothers could actually come up to Bethel and stay for a week or two and serve as a Bethelite. And so from all across the United States, every week, every Friday, a whole new fresh load of brothers will be coming in, using their vacation days for a week or two to be a Bethelite. And so as a result, they took up a lot of the rooms. So my wife and I, we were not able to stay at Bethel. So now at this point, it's time to find a new congregation. Well, one of the things a lot of Bethelites will do when they get ready to leave Bethel is they'll go down to the service department because they want to get into the circuit work when they get out in the field. So they'll go down to the service department and they'll say, brothers, me and my wife, we're willing to serve wherever you brothers need us to. And I knew better than to do that. I had guys who told me, JT, do not go down there and ask for an assignment. The reason why is because they might put you in some areas that you might find it very difficult. I had a buddy of mine, him and his wife, they went to serve. He went down to the service department, asked for an assignment, and they put him in Meridian, Mississippi. Now, his wife was a New Yorker, and you talking about somebody who had to make an adjustment. I really felt sorry for that girl, leaving New York City, moving down, and she had never been down south, moving down to Meridian, Mississippi. And they stayed for just a couple of years, and they just couldn't do it. So myself, Lady C, and I, we was trying to figure out where we were going to go. Well, Lady C was already here in the D.C. area, and we were about to get married. So we ended up looking around what kind of congregation. We wanted to get a congregation that we were actually in the territory, and that's what we did. And so I remember the first time I attended this meeting, because Lady C had actually been attending the meetings before, because I was living with another couple. And so before we got married, I had the opportunity to visit Kingdom Hall a number of times. And I remember my first visit, I had a chance to meet the body of elders. And to my surprise, there was already 3 or 4 brothers who were former Bethelites sitting on this body of elders. And I knew this is the congregation I wanted to be in. The reason why is because so many guys would leave Bethel And I had a mentor. He told me before I left, he says, JT, let me tell you something. I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Don't go out there in the field and get blackballed. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, a lot of guys come to Bethel, and when they leave, they'll go to these congregations all across the country, and they'll come in riding high on a horse. You know, at Bethel, we did this. At Bethel, we did that. At Bethel, we did that. The Kingdom Ministry says this. And you're going to be with a lot of humble brothers who are elders, and you're going to come in, and you want to show how sharp you are. Don't do that. Just come in, keep your head low, do whatever you're told, and the brothers will appreciate you. And he was right. Because I had a couple of friends, they went to some congregations and they rolled in and they was telling the elders, you know, this is what we did at Bethel and this and that. And one of them basically was told, look, you can go on back up to Bethel. You know, we've been running this congregation for 35 years, young man, so you can go on back up to Bethel. And my boy got blackballed, and he remained a servant man for years. And I know guys who they got into these congregations and they could not get reappointed. And they were ministerial service, and even elders, they could not get reappointed for years later, all because they rolled into these congregations. And this is why some people never like Bethelites, because sometimes Bethelites, they can get a real big head. And if you present that when you're dealing with people and you show that and you act that stuff out, the brothers won't appreciate that. You come in and you say, look, brother, I'm just here to serve. What do you want me to do? Wash the bathroom? What do you need? But if you come in like, when I was at Bethel, I did this and I did that, that's the worst thing you can do in this organization, because you will get blackballed. So we came to this congregation. I said, I like this congregation. Interestingly, one of the members on the body of elders was a voting member. And he had a very interesting, quote unquote, theocratic resume. Guy pioneered, got tired of pioneering, went to Bethel, got tired of Bethel and went to Gilead. He wanted to be a missionary. He was assigned to a foreign country, and he was over there for a couple of years, decided he wanted to get married. His wife, his fiancée, she went through Gilead, and she joined him over there in the field. He ended up becoming a member of the branch office in his country. And after a few more years, he was tapped by the governing body to be a member of the corporation, a voting member. Circumstances changed over the years, and he ended up coming back to the States. So he ended up settling in this congregation. And so, we got along real well. We got along real well. Me and him got along real well. But after you get on the body, you begin to see that sometimes everything that glitters is not necessarily gold. And that's what we begin to see. I begin to see this, that there were problems on this body of elders, and the problems were serious. Basically what happened, he was the presiding overseer in the congregation. And we reached a point where there was no communication between some of the elders. They would go out in front of the Kingdom Hall, out with the friends. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Get in the back room. Yeah. No. Okay. And I was like, what's up with this? What's up with this? No, we're supposed to be brothers and stuff, And so I talked to him. I said, man, what's going on, man? And it's this. And then I talked to the other brothers. I said, what's what y'all guys doing, man? We're supposed to be brothers. We're supposed to be setting an example for the friends. The friends knew the stuff we did in the back room and carried on like this, and then walk out and see them. The friends would be disappointed. And it just continued to go downhill. It started going downhill so bad that we had to bring this up at the circuit overseer's visit. And the issue became that we felt that this brother, who is a voting member, needed to be removed as an elder. So, and it kind of hurt because, like I said, me and him was pretty close because when I was at Bethel, I had this little part-time G job I used to do. We called it G job, working on the side. And that is, I used to cut hair. Bethelites only got haircuts every 3 weeks. So many times if you were giving a public talk, you might want to get your stuff, tightened up around the back and everything, nice and neat. And so I made money on the side. So Friday and Saturday night, I was making a little extra pocket change, cutting hair for guys. So I would cut his hair. He would come over to the house and we'd go out in the balcony. I'd put a little towel around his neck and trim him up and block him off and everything. And we'd laugh and talk and tell stories about Bethel and everything. So, we was pretty tight, but it had reached the point where I'm like, man, you can't continue to serve if you're going to do like this. You just can't. And so as a body of elders, we met with the circuit overseer and we told him, this is what we felt. So the circuit overseer said, well, this man is being used by the organization mightily, man. He says, look, why don't we consider this? maybe we can rotate some of the positions. He was presiding overseer. And one of the problems that we had as the presiding overseer, he would not inform the rest of the body about certain things. We would get letters from the society, and we wouldn't know the letters came in unless he simply verbally told us, oh, the society mentioned so and so. And we're like, well, could the body know? Is it for the body or what? And it became a disagreement. And I think probably what broke the camel's back, and I'll never forget this night, I was standing there talking to another elder. And you know how you can see people, kitty corner out your eye? I saw this sister, and she was walking toward, and she was moving. And as I looked over to her, you could see the look on her face. It was not a look of joy. Sister girl got up there to me and his brother, and she said, Brother so-and-so is a good elder, a caring elder. He's concerned about the congregation. Y'all brothers should be that way. And so I'm looking at the brother, and he looking at me, and I'm like, what's she talking about? What's going on? And so the brother said, well, sister, what are you talking about? My husband, he been in the hospital all week. Ain't none of y'all called, stopped by. Brother so-and-so, he done stopped by 2-3 times this week. He stopped by to check on me too. Y'all didn't even pick up the phone and call. And I'm like, oh my God. And so the brother says to her, well, who did you tell? She said, well, I told brother so-and-so when he was going into the hospital. And at that point, we knew this guy didn't even tell them, nobody in the body of elders, that this person was in the hospital. Yet he went running out to the hospital, checking the person, and he was, the favorite child of the month. And so we were reaching the point where this was just becoming a problem. So when the circuit overseer suggested, well, let's rotate the position. We'll put brother so-and-so in and we'll rotate him out. So we was trying to figure, well, what would be a good position to put this guy in? Well, we decided that the best place, because he was a very, very good teacher. I mean, he could teach. I mean, he knew organizational stuff he just knew it. So we decided to make him the Watchtowers study conductor. Lord have mercy, the worst thing we could ever done. We had no idea we were going to put this guy on stage for an hour every week, and he would dog us every week. And it was like, oh, Lord. He would make statements like signifying, some brothers, sometimes elders feel. And it was like, man, what are you doing, man? You can't be doing what you're talking about, man. And so it just got so bad. So at that point, we we all got together again without him, of course, and said, we can't have this, man. We cannot have this. So we decided we're going to put it to the circuit overseer again. So the circuit overseer says, look, man, we're going to have to bring the district overseer on this. And that's what we did. Now, let me just give you a little backstory that you may not be aware of. And I did not know this until we actually had the district overseer come. All the years I've been in this organization, I remember we always wanted to host the DO, the district overseer, for the week leading up to the circuit assembly, because we thought that was a special congregation. That was the golden child congregation. Well, little did I know, as the district overseer explained to us, basically when a district overseer was with a congregation as the host congregation, it was because they were having problems. So all the friends out front thinking, oh, we got the district overseer because we're doing so well and Jehovah's blessing us, when in fact, behind the closed doors, this congregation is having all kinds of problems. And so our congregation was selected to be the host for the circuit assembly. So of course, the district overseer rolls up. We all sitting in the back, and the district overseer goes one man at a time. Lay out what your claims are. Lay out what your concerns are. And when he finished, he let the brother talk as well. When the DO finished, he says, before we make a decision, I want you brothers to think about this. You're going to be removing a man who's been around for a long time. He says, so I want y'all to think about this. And Sunday afternoon, we'll get back together and we'll make a final decision. So the week goes on. We go into the circuit assembly on Saturday. Sunday rolls around. The district overseer says, I want to meet y'all guys in my office in the back. It's Crownville, Maryland, Assembly Hall, right here in the Maryland area, Crownsville. So all of us are sitting in the room. We're sitting literally in a semicircle around the district overseer. And he says, y'all brothers made y'all decision up. And everyone says yes. And so what he did, he polled every elder. I want you to explain, look this brother in the face and tell him why you think he is not qualified to serve. And it was hard. It was really hard. Here you are, you're the youngest elder on the body. And here are these guys. These guys are ex-Bethelites like yourself. They was at Bethel before I got there. They had served as a congregation before I got there. And here you are sitting in the back room with the district overseer, the circuit overseer, and you get ready to remove a friend because for whatever reason, he just did not want to do things the right way. And it was very, very painful. And so he went around the room and he got to me and I told him, why I felt that he wouldn't be able to serve. So the circuit overseer was asked, circuit overseer, he felt the same way we did. And then the district overseer. Now, some of you may know this district overseer, Paul Illingsworth. It was Paul Illingsworth, been in the district work for years, went to Bethel, served in service department. He did the whole organizational thing, okay? And he said to the brother, he says, I have to concur with these men. You do not qualify to serve. So he says, I'm going to sign this letter. And it was a letter. He had all of us sign it. And he says, this will go in the mail in the morning. And it was difficult. He dismissed us. It was very difficult walking back out. Because see, it was during the intermission at halftime. So we had the rest of the assembly that afternoon. It was pretty tough. It was pretty tough. And the kicker is, I went back to my seat and Lady C is like, you okay? Everything's all right? And you sit there just lying. Oh, everything's okay, baby. Everything's good. Jehovah loves us. God's kingdom coming soon, real soon. It'll be around the corner. You know what I mean? And so you sitting there, feeling like dirt. I mean, you just feel so bad. And you can't tell your wife because there's nothing official. So what happens? Well, the letter goes off Monday. And we wait for an answer from the society, the branch, from headquarters, Brooklyn. 2 weeks go by, no answer. 4 weeks go by, no answer. 6 weeks go by, no answer. So we get on the phone, we go on the phone and we call up the district overseer. Man, you heard anything? Man, heard nothing, man. Heard nothing. Now we had 6 weeks. 8 weeks go by. Nothing. And then about a week or so later, the letter comes in. We get a call from the district overseer. Paul Illingsworth called us up. He said, y'all got y'all letter? And we were like, yeah. He said, you see what it says? And we was like, yeah. The letter told us that this individual will not be deleted. Instead, you brothers continue to show love and work with this brother. And we was like, you got to be kidding. And it was like maybe like 2 or 3 sentences. That was it. So that week, of course, we had to have the regular meeting now, of course, he doesn't know the letter is in. So we get to the meeting that night for the school and service meeting. And the new presiding officer, he says, I'd like to meet with the body of elders after the meeting this evening. So we go in the back room and he's sitting there, arms folded, legs crossed. And he said, I want to go over the letter with you brothers. And he just opens the letter and he just reads it. And says, this is what the society has sent. So the brother says, are we done? And he says, yes. He gets up and he walks out. So it's just the rest of us sitting in the room like, man, boy, you talking about pie in the face, boy, I tell you. So I end up going on out, and because I'm the secretary, so I'm still working in the back in some of the files. And all of a sudden, I heard the door open up. The door opens up. the brother sticks his head into the door. And this is what he said to me. He says, y'all sent them little frivolous charges up there. They sent that stuff back, didn't they? And he walked out the door. And I was like, duh. And I remember the words of Paul Illingsworth when he talked to us when we got the letter. He said to us, this man has friends in powerful places. He says, I've been on the road for 35 years, and I've never had the society reject a recommendation to delete somebody. And he left it at that. Now, what we found out later on, you gotta love it, boy. You gotta love it. As Illingsworth had said to us on Sunday, he said to us on Sunday, he says, this will go in the mail on Monday. From our understanding, Monday morning, this brother was on Amtrak from Washington, D.C. to New York City. In fact, he beat the letter getting to New York. And who he met with, we don't know. But we know what the results were. The results were people in powerful places, they play by different rules. Yes, trying to delete this man was difficult. So at this point, this man now remains an elder. And it is just absolutely chaos in the congregation. And so at the next circuit overseer's visit, it was not until that visit were we able to write another letter to get this man removed this time. We finally were able to get this man removed because the spirit on the body was just, it was just terrible. And interestingly, he changed congregations. And within probably less than about a year or so, he was reappointed as an elder back in his new congregation. And of course, he continued to be a voting member. And I remember, as a voting member, each year, a voting member can take 2 people to the annual meeting, 2 people as guests. And so each year, the friends in the congregation would be holding with bated breath as to who would be blessed with the tickets to the annual meeting, because he would take 2 friends up every year. I remember being at Bethel, going to the annual meeting, and we got tickets you can bring guests as well. But after you go one time, you realize you really don't want to go to the annual meeting. It's got to be one of the most boring meetings in the world, because at this meeting are all of the major players and some of the worst speakers you have ever heard. And to sit there for 3 hours and listen to this, you fall asleep. It's interesting because there are actually 2 meetings. That's what's called the business meeting, which takes place like 9:15. And then there's the one that most of us, we read about, we hear about. That's the one that takes place at 10 o'clock. And I remember asking him about the business meeting. And he says, man, there's really nothing to it. And which is true. And the best example he gave me was, he says, think of the Kingdom Hall. In the congregation, the elders will stand up and make an announcement. Brothers, we'd like to inform the congregation that the body of elders have decided that we're going to pay X amount of Z for this product over here, or this service over here. But of course, before we can spend the money, we're going to ask you friends for your approval. Now, he done told you that the body of elders have agreed that this is what the congregation needs to be doing. But of course, they then ask the congregation to vote, yay or nay. Now, anybody who's ever been to a Kingdom Hall knows that when those types of votes are done, you know what kind of vote reaction you're going to get. But of course, you always get that one brother or sister who's like, you know what? I'm going to vote in the opposite. I think we're not going to do this. And we've seen that. And I know brothers who have actually decided to vote opposite of what the elders have recommended. And sure enough, they did not get appointed for a long, long time. Well, as he explained to me, the annual meeting is the same thing. It's almost like rubber stamp the Politburo out of Russia. They basically get there at the annual meeting. Brother so-and-so will be president. So-and-so will be vice president. And it's just a simple vote. Yay, nay, done. We're finished. So it's really just more, as he said, it's just a formality. That's really all it is. There's not going to be any discussion like we saw in the movie on Wall Street, with arguing back and forth on the stocks of the company. No, none of that stuff. Because each of these men sitting in that audience know that they will be replaced next year if they were to vote opposite of what has already been proposed. And that's what happens. So, it's interesting how you see how people in this organization, their positions, interestingly, will protect them. And for many of you who are watching this video, you've seen this with elders' kids. They weren't treated the same. As they often say, who knows about this? Nobody knows about this. It stays back here in this judicial meeting. So one of the things I tell you people all the time, this is why you have to really stop and ask yourself the serious critical thinking questions. Because many of us oftentimes will see things that we know is wrong. We know it's wrong, but we never continue down the path of evaluating why is it wrong? What does this say about it being wrong? Instead, many of us, including myself, my wife and I, we often laugh about it, how we just push this stuff to the back of our mind. Well, we tell people no more. Don't push stuff to the back of your mind. Follow up. The reason why is because you will find out that you have spent so many years in something, being involved in this project of Watchtower World, only to lose out. The only winners are those who run this organization. For us as rank and file people, we have always lost and they will always continue to lose. This has been JT, Life at Bethel, the good, the bad, and yes, the ugly. Take care.
This program was sponsored by Critical Thinkers.